Everybody, it's Kasim and John with your daily Google News. Fist bump.
Hello. Yeah, I hope I'm on the right side of the screen for everyone. Otherwise, that's gonna be really weird.
We'll fix it in post. Today we're talking about something that I'm excited about. John's not, and it's Google Ads for supplement companies, which I've just found out in our company Slack a few days ago. We have 10 supplement companies.
And it's been a nightmare, but fun.
Well, here's what's funny. Just to give people context, I was like, why on earth do we have 10 supplement companies? That feels like really obscure. And John was like, because we're the only ones that can make it work. And then I was like, opportunity to shoot video. So just to hop right into it, John, why are we the only ones that can make supplement companies work? And why are they so hard in the first damn place?
Well, one, Google just hates supplement companies. I don't know why. I mean, I've never seen.
I kind of know why. I mean, it's like the snakiest of the snake oil salesmen. Not to bash, there's some super legit companies in the space, right?
We know at least 10.
Yeah, exactly right. But it's also like, I mean, some of the really black hat stuff starts in the supplement world. I don't know why you know what it is? I bet you it's Tim Ferriss's fault.
Probably. Yeah. It's so, well, you know what's funny too is there is so many white label partners in the supplements industries. Like when we're walking around,
a white label partner on a white label partner on a white label partner on a fulfillment partner on it. Yeah, like there's so many layers in between, and the risks are high. Like if you're putting something in your body and it doesn't work out well for you, you know what I mean? That's a lot different than like buying a tire that, you know, like whatever, like even that, I'm trying to compare it to something else where the risks are also high, but not necessarily quite as catastrophically damaging.
Yeah, and that's it's funny is because it's not FDA approved. I think that's the problem. It's like dietary supplements do not have to go through FDA approval. And so that's what's funny is Google's like, well, you can't say the things like, you know, helps, you can say supports, and you can't say things like fixes, you can say, you know, supplements growth or something like that. So the language that you have to have on your site is you're going through it with essentially an attorney that's trying to put you in jail. It's like, but you said that, be like, I said I qualified that with, you know, help support. I didn't say support. It's like, okay, help support. That's fine. Well,
where do you find this? Where is this documented very clearly so it's easy to follow along and people are not going to just run into a trap without any gray and opaque matter?
Yeah, I remember when I said at the beginning, it's been horrible. That's what we've been going through.
So just so if you're watching this and you have a supplement company, there's no rule book, y'all. There is nowhere where Google says yes you can, no you can't. Instead, it's submit, deny, find out why. Also, I just started a rap there.
Yeah, submit, deny, find out why. That's the mantra of the supplement company.
Submit, deny, cry, find out why.
Seriously.
I are the Solutions 8 guy. I'm gonna stop.
You're so much better than that than me. I'm just like, and hopefully your campaigns fly. Like horrible. Right. But that's the problem. Well, that's one of the things. And then the other part is people don't really know how to contend with that. And with Google's new 3 strikes you're out rule, apparently they took the felony rule out of California and said, okay, 3 strikes you're out. Like that works for them. Let's work for us. Yeah. Google's in California too, which is probably something connection there. But that's the hard part is now is you're going to have a cooldown period that is kind of growing. So it's like, okay, we told you did it wrong and you submitted anyway for approval. Now you got a 3-day warning. Now you can't do anything for 3 days. Okay, next time it's 7-day. And then now, and ultimately it's just gonna be like, okay, you're banned.
You can't run anything. And it's not just that account that gets banned, right? It's the billing profile. It's like that human is now banned from Google.
Yeah, Google basically will say this account and any subsequent accounts. Does that go back or forward? Like, what does that mean? So like all of a sudden your Google Pixel phone just explodes. It's like, no, you're banned.
You're not allowed to internet anymore. So yeah, can we give people some specific sound bites? Because you started there, I think, with really solid information. It was like, cannot say cures, can only say helps.
Yeah, and there's actually a client of ours that actually opened us up to even some more terms. I don't remember him. It was spoken about in passing at a show where we met at an event, and he was like, hey, actually I found out these 2. I'm like, gosh, like, man, there's just so many more here that we just don't know. So and then the other part of it too is not only is there a secret list of banned rules or banned words that is like in the bottom drawer of someone at Google that no one can see, but then it also will go not only landing page wide, it's site wide. Like we had a client that
with the reviews. Is that what you're going to talk about?
Review and blogs and that too. But yeah, the review, any text found on the domain, that's scary, because we had a blog from 2016 from a client that said, and it was a quote from a doctor that says this type of treatment has been proven effective, even more than steroids. And it wasn't even the quote that got us in trouble. Google's like, we found steroids on your site. I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Where was that?
The testimonial one was crazy. Somebody wrote a testimony. I forget what the testimonial was, but it was like, thank God I don't have to smoke weed anymore or something. And Google was like, you can't say weed.
I know.
It's like, we're saying we don't smoke weed, Google.
Yeah, you can literally say something like, this is not marijuana. It's like, oh, it said marijuana.
Yeah.
Like, man, like, so you have to think about every word Google's going to look at individually and take it out of context.
So, dude, why are we better at this than other people? Like, we don't have any rules we don't have a secret manual. How come we've been able to make 10 of these work and other people haven't?
You have to take a very cautious approach, submit individually.
And we've learned some lessons, so we can say, hey, we've already learned about these things.
Yeah, and you kind of get a good gauge. You're like, you know what? I think saying this word here is the reason why. And then the process that you'd want to go through, just from a supplemental perspective and getting approved,
no pun intended.
Yeah, right. Is you have to take. I use this term internally. You have to take an axe to something before you can take a scalpel to something. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a large description, and the large description has a couple words there that are probably close to being interpreted wrong by Google. Wipe everything. Yeah, exactly. Wipe everything, but like,
what a great analogy that is too. It's like when you're going to carve something out of marble, you don't start with like the smallest details. You're just like,
exactly. You just start hacking off large pieces that you're like, I know I don't need that. I know I don't need that. And you just start hacking off on both ends. And you whittle this thing down to essentially saying things like, this is vitamin C. Like, start there.
I'm stating facts. Well, that's, you know, what sucks about that is Google wants robust descriptions, titles, headline, like it's optimizing against those things. So you're actually going against best practices just for the privilege of running.
And then
get approved and then kind of begin building.
Like, right. And that's and I'll actually share my screen here.
Tasty vitamin C.
Right. This is, yeah, it's good tasting. You said good. Ah, damn.
Yeah. Exactly.
I got him again.
Well, and if you're a supplement company that's about to hire Solutions 8, it's important for you to know we don't have magic buttons that you don't have. You're still going to have a headache, a heartache, and we're going to have to jump through all these hoops. We just got better at jumping through the hoops than you might be.
Yeah, and we're still going through it. This is the last 30 days where we got everything approved. And then I even called the client and said, hey, listen, and this is blurred out up here, so the client's name is gonna be blocked. And also up here on the top right. I'm saying that more often so our video editor knows. Knows exactly where to put it. So just FYI. Yeah, exactly. Hey, PS. So we had everything approved. And then I called the client and said, hey, by the way, we have to change titles. And we're going to get everything disapproved again. And then we're going to get everything reapproved again. And so I called them and said, hey, we're going to go through this big thing. In the meantime, we have, all these other campaigns that are running competitor search about, that kind of DSA and display and all the other stuff besides shopping that's running to support us through this. But we're going to have to go through this horrible, horrible issue again. And he goes, okay, I trust you, do whatever you want to do. So we changed titles. Everything got disapproved. We resubmitted individually, everything got reapproved. And then like 4 kind of popped up. And then we have to change titles again. And now pretty much 13 out of 27 are back being disapproved. So it's a fun event that we have to go through. And what's interesting is we tested this theory here where we changed the titles, got everything disapproved. We changed everything back, got reapproved. And it happened within about a couple hours. So like 3:50 and 9:45. And so what was interesting is when Google likes something, it will approve that forever. Well, not forever. It'll approve that for the short term until it doesn't like it again. But what happens is when you change a title, it's going to get disapproved because it says, hey, you changed something we previously approved and we haven't approved that yet now. And then you have to literally go through one by one on your products that you're updating your titles or your descriptions, and then submit a request for review. You don't do it at the GMC account level. You do it at the individual product level. And that's the secret.
Nightmare. What if you have 4,000 SKUs?
That also means that you made 4,000 changes. So what we usually do is batch them. So make 20 changes.
Don't do that.
I know. Well, and what's funny too is that the entire time we're at the risk of Google just being like, and I'm bored of you, suspended. So there's that like
expelled, right? Like you're done forever.
Yeah. So that's the thing that you have to kind of find that fine balance is where it's you're walking past a sleeping bear, you just kind of take like one small step at a time. You don't just like bolt past things. This is gonna chase you. Exactly. Yeah. And don't like increase ad spend, like so play lights and sirens while you're doing it. Like yeah, you just have to like you have to walk past this like murderous sleeping bear, and you just gotta walk like one step at a time and make sure that when the next foot's down, you didn't step on that branch or like the crinkly leaf. You're like, okay, this is good. And so like make
funny
changes.
is you're not just walking past the bear, you're also trying to take its honey.
So true. Yeah. And at the same time, the bear like wakes up every now and then and be like, here's $100 free credit. Like we're getting mixed signals here.
Bear's like beckoning you towards it.
Yeah, like is a just falling into the bear's trap, like come closer. Yeah, it's fun. So it's been a nightmare. And then so I guess the golden rules are when you're making changes, make small changes, submit them individually for review. When they get approved, you batch those, you're done with those, you move on to the next round. Being an agency doing this is a nightmare because during the process, the client's paying you money and asking what's going on.
Why isn't this live? It's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
so if you're going to hire us to do this, you're going to pay us to wait. And by the way, y'all, that's not negotiable. Like, because the waiting is hard and talking to you is hard and dealing with all of these issues is hard. And so, you know what we've had a couple people come to us for is they're so far gone. They're like, hey, I want you to run these accounts, but they need to be in your name and I will wire you the money and then you need to pay for it. And we don't do any of that because we don't want to end up where you are, which is in Google prison. Yeah. Is there any coming back from that, dude? Like, what can they do? Is it over forever?
No, you can submit for review and approval. The problem though is that that's even a longer process. Like here's a funny part. It gets harder. So even though it's been so confusing, here's where it gets really, really hard. When you get an account disapproval, not just a product disapproval, product disapprovals, okay, let's wipe everything. Let's start with the basics. We'll get it approved. Let's add back some of the things that we think are safe until we find the threshold that, oops, that wasn't safe, then back one, then get it reapproved again, and now you're good until you need to make a next round of feed optimizations, which is going to be, you're just going to go through this whole thing over again. When you get an account suspension, it's like we found the word steroid from 2016 in this blog, but here's what we're going to tell you. It's not compliant. Go make it compliant. And then you have to go through and sift through literally every word on your site ever and then say,
but they didn't say steroid was the word.
Nope. No.
Wow.
And that was the part. Yeah, I actually had like threatened Google. I don't know how we got it approved. I don't really recommend. Well, that was the thing too, is I was like, you're running all of these other companies that have these words or phrases in here. This is fraud. This is blah, blah, blah. And I basically just started complaining hourly to the same person where I'm like, oh, okay, here to change this word. And they finally told me. I remember doing it, and it was so funny too. As I look back, I'm like, that shouldn't have worked.
Yeah. I don't know that I recommend that. By the way, we don't do
that. Yeah. That was my learning lesson there. Like, if you
don't threaten the bear.
yeah. If you can somehow find a way to make the bear fear for its life, like that shouldn't have happened. Like that was a fluke, a freak accident. And so that was the thing that I think is a good learning lesson though, is that we found out that it was that one word. But if you get a account suspension, you have to go find the one word as an example that they don't like, and then fix that and then resubmit for approval. And if you're wrong, you have to wait a week to try again.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like, okay, so I've gone through 64,000 words on my site for the last 10 years. I think I got it. And then you get a good binary like yay or nay. Like it is Julius Caesar up in the tower saying like, and then you don't get to go to the Coliseum for a week. It's not fun.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun. Recapping, language is critical. And go through with a fine-tooth comb and figure out what is and is not. And honestly, it's just logic, right? Like, I mean, some of this stuff isn't rocket science. It's just don't claim that your supplements do things that they don't do. Don't mean, or even just don't be bold with your claims. Be really cautious with your language. Look at Google's, because Google does have a list of things that are just patently disapproved, right? Like they'll tell you, we will not advertise these things. So make sure that none of those cross over, and then be really slow in your implementation.
Yep. And this is going to possibly be a blur nightmare. So Jack, my apologies while doing this, but I do have to show this area. This is the individual page.
And this is a blur nightmare.
Yeah, it is a blur nightmare, but everything can be blurry. That's fine. But what you have to do is let's leave again, I hope that this is the area that we can show. And I'm so sorry, everyone out there in YouTube land. This is what we can show. And then the blur area starts here, because it can't really necessarily, it has the brand name in there again, like a few times. So my apologies. That's why I'm not scrolling around. But here's what you have to look at. Go into the individual products in GMC in Google Merchant Center and look at the description, because what is on your site and what is in your feed are going to be two different things. And Google is going to read both. So what a learning lesson here is, hey, that's not in my feed, doesn't matter, it's on your site. Or hey, that's not on my site, doesn't matter, it's in your feed. So there's two variables there, that if the site and the feed, if the site, you might have an accordion on your site, and one could be descriptions, one could be features, one could be benefits, one could be, benefit, whatever it is. I almost said benefits again, I'm not bright. You might have a few different accordion areas. Even though the description's in your feed and you keep looking at your feed saying, I've taken everything out. Oh, it was the benefits, like help support. So just understand that there's multiple areas. So this when we're peeling back the onion, it doesn't ever get smaller. Like, there's just more layers. And so when you look at the
onion gray, this is a magic onion.
It's like a blooming onion nightmare at Outback Steakhouse, or it's a delicious nightmare, who knows. But when you're looking at where you're trying to make optimizations, know that if you have different items that are in your feed that are on your site, those are two separate areas that you have to look at in each individual product page. So yeah, when I said in the beginning, it's been a nightmare. Yeah, I don't know why Google will simply just say this is good enough. And then that good enough is inconsistent.
I feel like Google just became a Russian oligarch. This is good enough.
Yes, page is fine.
Face wall.
So it basically is, though. It's so funny too, because I'm looking like, well, that didn't work over here, but now it works over here. I'm like, I'm not gonna ask questions, thank you very much. And like, I mean, it has a sleeping bear, or like, all right, cool, let's just keep going. But yeah, it is a nightmare, because
I hope Yvonne never sees this video so he doesn't hear our Russian accents.
Well, we're bad at it. That's okay though. He's in the Ukraine, so that's a beautiful place.
He speaks fluent Russian,
especially Kiev. If you live in Kiev, you're just a beautiful human being.
So I have something to say. I think the biggest missed opportunity in the internet is the fact that, have you ever seen Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah.
Okay, you know the theme song for Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, it's like a synthesizer kind of music.
Yeah, the heat is on.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I was thinking of something else.
Okay, so but I feel like the theme song for Data Feed Watch should be a parody of that, where they're like, the feed is on.
Yeah, that would be a good opportunity for Data Feed Watch if I think that would really elevate them as a thought leader. Like if they had a list of all known like cautious words.
Dude, why don't we just go throw that at them? They're our friends.
Because you kind of have to throw a dictionary at them and be like, include that, because we don't know.
That's actually that's a really good idea.
Yeah, something like a suspension risk. And that could be like a sliding scale between 0% and 100%. Be like, you use words 20% of the time that we know to be suspended, and we can work with them in order to actually get that to be a thing.
Yeah. So
yeah, that would
Jock
be amazing.
Was the CEO of Data Feed Watch, was on the channel, by the way. For anybody who's watching, you can go back and I'll drop that in the description of the video. I'm gonna go send that to Jock, dude, and just be like, hey, bro, what a great idea that is.
Yeah.
And if you're not using Data Feed Watch, by the way, or a data feed tool, it doesn't have to be Data Feed, but we like DFW. And we actually like it. We have a vendor that made us use it in the very beginning, and we just fell in love with it. Is there something better out there?
Not that I know. We use it for $1 million per month client, because the feed opportunities that they have for other channels are massive. Like it's one centralized location to feed Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Google, Bing, it gets everything. But then the ability to actually auto-populate DSA campaigns by products is something that we physically couldn't do because of the thousands and thousands of SKUs that they had.
Yeah,
right. I mean, we spent like additional $69 for a feed connector, but that was like you got a year worth of work or $69. It's like,
dude, that's what's weird is Data Feed Watch is super cheap. Like what they charge and what they allow for, I mean, it's unbelievably leverageable once you use it and you're using it right.
Yeah, it's funny if you ever.
We're not affiliates, by the way. Like we don't get paid. We should, Jock, if you're watching this.
Yeah. Hey, Like,
how about some sponsorship money, buddy?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. How about a free subscription to DataFeed Watch?
Yeah. And thank you everyone for watching. This video today is sponsored by DataFeed Watch, where all of your feed management tools can be.
You're really good at that.
I watch a lot of YouTube.
Don't forget to smash that like button.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what's so funny? I was recording a video of my kids the other day, and my son, my youngest, Ronan, he goes, "Don't forget to like and subscribe." And I'm like, well, no more screen time for you. Like, how do you know that?
It's like, we're about to eat dinner. Would you like to say grace? Be like, yes, this grace is sponsored by Nutrisystem.
Cool. Supplement companies, good luck to you. If you want a Google Ads agency, it can be us. If not, it sounds like, honestly, we don't do anything special. We're just intelligent and patient.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. To keep overusing this analogy, anybody can walk past the sleeping bear, but if you don't know like where to step and how to step and that kind of stuff, and you just said, hey, I don't want to deal with this headache, but I know that we have a team that's working through the best possible way to get this through the quickest way. That's what we can
pay me money.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like, I'm gonna go threaten Google, so let's compensate for that. Because I might have to pay for
like, we're with you. We're like, step there, step there. But if the bear wakes up, we're still running out of the cave. Like, you're gonna get eaten, and
or we're both gonna get eaten. We're like, yeah, that happened.
That sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's a risk, and it's a timely risk. So, and it's expensive risk, but that's the price if you want to have a a supplement company that really can scale.
Horrible salespeople. We're like, this is gonna take a long time. There are no guarantees it's gonna work. You're gonna pay us a lot of money. And if it doesn't work, we're sorry, but we're not. Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be no other sales pitch in history that I think is going to use the analogy where like, we might get eaten by a bear. Sign here.
I hope other people think we're as funny as we think we are.
Yeah, seriously. Like, we need a laugh track. Otherwise, it's going to get depressing. Like applause.
Yeah. Jack, will you put a laugh track in at that last point? I think it'd be really funny.
That'd be great if we could do that.
And y'all got to give some comment love to our editor, Jack. She has to put up with us more than anybody else does.
Yeah, more of just our annoyances. Like it's gonna be painful listening to us like for hours.
Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, I hate the sound of my voice, so Jack, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I sound really good to myself when I'm speaking, but then when I go back and listen later, I'm like, oh dear, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
That was like when I was like, I would do like impressions every now and then, and in my mind, I'm like, nailed it. And I was like, that sounds nothing like that person.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Dude, I sound like Barry Manilow right now. Like it's real smooth and jazzy. Right. But then like I listen to a recording and I'm like, oh God, I it's like, who's the kid with the did I do that kid?
Oh, Steve Urkel.
Yeah, that's how I sound to myself when I listen to myself after the fact. It's just terrible.
I'm like, what's wrong with YouTube audio? I sound nothing like Barry White. Weird.
Cool, we did it.
Awesome.
Don't forget to smash that subscribe button.
Sponsored by DataFeed Watch.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for watching. We record a video every day.
Ish.
Yeah, ish. We'll see you tomorrow.
You do. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know we actually know what we're doing. We shoot a video every single day. So if you want to be notified, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any input, don't hesitate to hit us up in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We get very little human interaction. Thanks for supporting our channel, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.